All right, Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the Daily Fail, meme review, the software releases, and the websites by plebes or plebs. Drop us a like, subscribe. All right, we're going to the numbers. Let's do this. All right, at the time of this recording, the block height is 681,141. Bitcoin price is 53,300. Chain rewrite days 688. Total lightning capacity 1,225.95. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 8.61%. 63%, it just went up. Sats per dollar 1,874.
Exactly. Man, we should just record this every day and just use the same recording because we've been at the same price for a month. But honestly, Phil, it's great to stack, man. When it's sideways, it's great to stack, you know. But yeah, man,
it's just not fun and entertaining. That's all.
Everyone's bored out of their minds. Everyone's like killing each other on Twitter.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, there should be more arguments happening soon because that's just inevitable.
Dude, I think it was Psychedelic Bart. He tweeted the funniest thing, Phil. He was like, you're the angriest group of millionaires I've ever seen.
A whole bunch of people just getting pissed off.
It's so funny. But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The Daily Fail. All right, everyone. The Daily Fail today. You already know what's happening here. We're gonna make fun of the cubes. Anyways, what is that? How did Dogecoin? Anyways, let's have a listen here to the cubes on Ellen.
Cryptocurrency is just an asset to invest in. You know, Bitcoin is kind of like a digital version of gold. Ethereum is a digital version of a currency. And then you got Dogecoin, which is just fun. But the weird part about it, it went from being a cryptocurrency joke to now becoming something that's becoming a digital currency. At the Mavs, we sell a lot of merchandise for Dogecoin, and you should look at it for the Ellen shop. You guys could sell a whole lot of stuff for Dogecoin.
We sure will do that.
Cryptocurrency is
okay.
An asset to invest in. You know, Bitcoin.
I thought I hit pause. Okay. Anyways, I'd really love to see the numbers of how much merch he's selling in Doge. I'd really love to see that. I'm actually going to go digging for it later because I personally don't think they're selling shit in Doge. Okay. If anybody's showing up with anything, they're showing up with Bitcoin. So it's just kind of funny. I mean, look, at the end of the day, guys like him, they can't stand Bitcoin. Bitcoin just sucks all of the, you know, all of their, you know, their narcissistic tendencies. It just robs them of the ability to dominate and control the stage. Okay, because Bitcoin, you know, this kind of goes back to our conversation yesterday with Alex Gladstein. You know, the value of Bitcoin accrues in the network. So if you want to capture part of that value, then you have to bring value to the network. You have to work with the ecosystem. And guys like this, they're just vultures. I mean, don't get me wrong, but like that's how he made his money to begin with. You know, he sold out, which don't get me wrong, to each their own, right? It was a good move. He sold out at the right time in the .com bubble. And a whole bunch of other people, you know, lost, you know, tons of money. And that's just what it is, right? Like that's not I mean, people will sit there and argue that it's a skill or a talent. You know what? Even a broken clock is right twice a day. So.
Absolutely, Phil. And it's just, man, look. Usually when a person doesn't know how to pronounce the thing that they're promoting, it's usually not a good sign, right? And this is the same guy that, you know, a couple years ago, he said that he would rather own bananas than Bitcoin.
I'd rather have bananas. I can eat bananas. Crypto, not so much. Look, I can make a great argument for blockchain. There's a lot of applications and they'll be used, but you don't need public Bitcoin, BTC. You can create blockchain on your own without using all the available cryptocurrencies.
And there he's doing a 180, right? And it goes back to what you said, Phil. You're absolutely right. Bitcoin levels the playing fields with the elites, and they absolutely hate that. And Max Kaiser came on our show a couple months ago, and he was describing these people as egomaniacs, and that's exactly what they are. But Bitcoin doesn't care. You know, Bitcoin levels a playing field with them, and they fucking hate it for it. You're absolutely right, Phil. But it's glorious to see, man, him getting wrecked and him mispronouncing Doge.
What a fool.
What a fool. Mark Cuban, have fun staying poor. Anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The Daily Meme Review.
All right, everybody. The meme for today is brought to us by, he looks like a Bitcoiner. He has Bitcoin in his, not judging, but anyways, it's in Spanish. He's a Hispanic Bitcoiner. That's awesome.
Yep.
To read the English version, it's translated by Twitter or by Google. Lower the Bitcoin to 49,000. If you see something negative in that sentence, I dedicate this, right? I think there's a lot of stuff lost in translation, but anyways, I digress. Pre-coiner, it's too expensive. Oh, it's dying. I'm too late. No coiner, it's a bubble. I knew it would die. It's a bubble. Bitcoiner, hodl. Buy the fucking dip, hodl. Amazing. Because this describes, it's such a simple meme, bro, but it literally describes all the people, the Bitcoiners, the no coiners. So it's funny. And for that, Phil, I'm going to give it a ninja sword. Ha! Anyways,
my gosh.
What are you going to give it?
Oh, that's a solid score. Look, I totally loved it. I mean, that is great. I think that it's appealing on all levels, right? It's even if you know nothing about Bitcoin, you can quickly get an idea of what the landscape looks like, from a 10,000 foot view. Man, it's tough. I am going to go with a 3D printed Bane mask.
Oh, dude, the scores just keep getting better. I don't know. Bro, I think the scores are equal today, man.
Pretty equal.
Equal.
If you have like a ninja sword plus the Bane mask.
Dude, wearing the Bane mask and the ninja sword?
That's what I'm saying.
That's pretty badass. Bane's definitely a Bitcoiner, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Facts.
100%. Yeah, total facts. We spoke to him.
Yeah, we're going to have him on the show. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody, in another episode of The Government Trying to Fuck You. This article brought by Vice. This is kind of scary when I first thought about it, but there's a silver lining. Check it out, Phil. The IRS wants help hacking cryptocurrency hardware wallets. The article goes on to say, the means that authorities cannot effectively investigate the movement of currency, and it may prevent the forfeiture and recovery of those funds. Exactly. And the article goes on to say, hardware wallets are getting quite secure now. With a lot of research into them, you might be able to find issues in a few, but to have ready-made exploits to work against lots of them is going to be very hard. And the article goes on to say, another challenge, of course, is that funds aren't actually on the wallet, just the keys. If the owner knows they're attacking it, can act, the funds could be moved, right? So it's absolutely right. Look, there's the silver lining is this is just going to make hardware wallets better, right? And going back to what Alex is saying yesterday, the government doesn't need these extra powers to enforce the law. I think that was one of the biggest scams, right? That just the government just keeps overreaching and overreaching and overreaching. I think this is another example of that. And it was very nefarious, Phil, when you see that the forfeiture, the seizure of money, they're acting like they're the gatekeepers again. It's that gatekeeping language, man. So it's scary when you initially read that type of article, but then when you really think about it, it's just going to make Bitcoin stronger. Anyways, Phil, thoughts?
They just can't keep their incompetent, greedy hands off of our money. Like I find it mind-boggling. It's like, really? Like how much crime are you really deterring and freezing people's accounts? Because don't get me wrong, I know people who have had their accounts frozen and they are actually not criminals. Okay? There's been misunderstandings, okay? Because the government, unbeknownst to them, they make a lot of fucking mistakes. Okay? They're not that competent because guess what? The government is people, just like the rest of us. So they make mistakes, then they go and they freeze your accounts, and you've got a family to feed, and you've got bills to pay. They don't give a shit. Go through the process to try to get that undone. You know what? Honestly, they absolutely deserve to have every ounce of power taken away from them. Okay? They really do. I find it so sickening. It's like, now we need to get to the hardware wallets. You know what? All that they're going to do is they're going to force They're going to force another method, okay, that we can build our own hardware wallets. There's already plenty of do-it-yourself hardware wallets where you can buy off-the-shelf hardware and just do it yourself. They're getting better and better. The user interface is getting a lot nicer. People can go check out the do-it-yourself Spectre wallet. Okay, that's a really nice piece of hardware, and it has a touchscreen. So, anyways, fuck the government.
Yeah, man. It's
comes to that shit. That is like, I mean, come on.
It's the language, man. It's like they feel they're entitled to this. You know, they feel they're entitled to not allowing their own citizens, right? You know, sovereignty, essentially. They can't have that. You know, they can't have that. So, and on another front, Phil, they're not only attacking their hardware wallets, it looks like they're starting to go after coin mixers. Phil, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing, okay? We wouldn't, if, you know, I think that if the government offered actual value as a population, we wouldn't have to be coerced into participating. And that's the problem. It's because we're being fucking scammed. So we have to be coerced in order to participate. Anyways, I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. You made a really good point, Phil. And we were so scammed to the point that it forced, you know, the innovation of Bitcoin, right? You saw the 2008, 2009 financial crisis. No banker went to jail, right? They were just bailed out, you know, and it's like the people had to pay the consequences for that, you know? So it's exactly what Alex was saying on yesterday's episode. You have to take back the power because they're not going to give it up. But anyways, Phil, another attack, but in, I would guess, another vector. It looks like the government is starting to go after coin mixers. U.S. officials arrest alleged operator of a 336 million Bitcoin mixing service. To read the article, U.S. officials have arrested the alleged operator of a Bitcoin mixing service on allegations of laundering. Here's the key: of laundering nearly 336 million in Bitcoin over 10 years. While the U.S. government hasn't gone after many Bitcoin mixing services before, prosecutors have called such services a crime in the past, right? So there you see, again, the government attacking privacy, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's like they infer that just because you use a mixer, you know, that's illegal, right? It's you know, they're going to go after this. I don't think they'll be successful, but man, they're turning up the heat, bro. They don't want to give up that power. Anyways, Phil,
you know, I mean, I didn't notice anywhere in the article, but they didn't mention which coin mixing service, right?
They mentioned the name of the person. It's called Roman Sterlingen, and the mixing service, I forgot to mention that, I apologize, Phil, was called the Bitcoin Fog. And to be specific, it was this is what the government claims. It was an unlicensed money transmission, money laundering, and money transmission without a license, right? And you see this from the Financial Action Task Force. Man, the governments want to know the identity of every single Bitcoin transaction, and they want it, like, if it's above $250, they want to know what's up. That's the guidance that they want, right? So it's just scary seeing stuff like this. Phil?
I don't think they're going to be able to stop all the coin mixing services. I think it's kind of ridiculous to imply, again, right? Why do we automatically assume because somebody is using a coin mixing service that they're doing something sketchy? Okay, privacy is not a crime. Okay, and this is exactly what they are trying to paint the picture that it is. Okay, and it just isn't. I know people that simply coin mix just for the sake of actually trying it out and getting to know the landscape, getting to know the technology, right? There's that aspect of it. I also kind of think, you know, based on the way that I'm seeing the development in nodes and the amount of services, you know, these things are like little Swiss Army knives of Bitcoin, you know. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this sounds to me like, unfortunately, this guy was caught because he ran like a centralized website or something like that. I mean, it kind of sounds to me like, you know, unfortunately, he may have, like, you know, kind of given them too easy of a way in, you know, but I don't know the full details. But there's many other services that I don't think are centralized in this way. So I don't think that there would be anybody to arrest or stop.
Well, that's the key, right?
So-
The government's really good at taking down like centralized agencies, but the government they can't with the decentralized service. So yeah, I absolutely agree, Phil. Perhaps, right? But check out, there is good news though, Phil. It looks like our side is fighting back. When I say our side, again, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. And Square adds Bitcoin policy lead from U.S. Chamber of Commerce. To quote the article, Julie Stitzel, the former vice president at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Center for Capital Markets Competitiveness, has joined payment startup Square. She was previously part of the U.S. Chamber's Technology Engagement Center, where she represented the trade organization before Congress and senior manager for federal advocacy and policy at Etsy. Right, so you could see that the Bitcoin companies are trying to get their tentacles into the halls of Congress so that they get favorable legislation. Mm-hmm. So it's good, Phil. This is good, man, because at least, again, Square isn't necessarily on Bitcoiners' side, but we are fighting the same cause. Is that safe to say, Phil?
I don't know. No, I don't know. They're a corporation. They're looking out for number one.
They are, but our goals
maybe our incentives are aligned in some ways, right? But I do want to add, I do think it's bullish, and I just want to stress, right, while the mainstream media sits there and fills people's head with nonsense like Bitcoin is only used for for drugs and criminals and all kinds of stuff, and it's boiling the ocean and this and that. In the meantime, you got to take a look at what's actually happening. And the actions are the landscape is growing. The ecosystem is growing. The on-ramps are growing. Okay? So, and look, this article is fantastic proof of that. Okay? So while the mainstream media sits there and jams in your head that this is, this is garbage and this is bad, all of their friends and the essentially, maybe even their, how could I say this? Maybe it's even, the people that pay their, their salaries, right? They're pushing this narrative while they sit there and accumulate Bitcoin, because all of a sudden what's going to happen is from one day to the next, they're going to go from Bitcoin is terrible to you need to own Bitcoin. And that's going to be the future. And they are going to get to that point only when they feel that they have, whatever it is that they're looking to have in Bitcoin. Whatever claim they want to stake in Bitcoin, they're going to make sure they have that before you get yours. So,
absolutely. And you see this with the investment banks as well. They trash Bitcoin, and then all of a sudden they start opening, Bitcoin desks and all that stuff, right? But Phil, check this out. More bullish news. Bitcoin hash rate rebounds as Xinjiang miners come back online. Bitcoin miners in southern China are back online after a series of coal mining accidents. I don't know how much I believe that led to outages last week, cascading Bitcoin's hash rate at same time as Bitcoin's price. Now, I've told you many times on this show, I think that the hash rate is correlated to the price. I think that the hash rate leads the price, right? But check this out. It did make a recovery. Now it's at 154 exahashes, right? So it's bullish. The hash rate is coming back. I told you that the hash rate needs to come back before I think that the price would recover. So it is very bullish news. Let's see what happens. And Phil, do you believe that there was a coal outage? Do you believe their excuse? Because we were talking about, the black magic and the wicks that we've been seeing, at these price levels, right? So, I don't know. Phil?
Of course our opinions are biased, right? We're Bitcoiners. So of course I want to believe that what I'm seeing is heavy accumulation at these levels. Whether or not there was a coal mining accident or not is, kind of, I shouldn't say it's irrelevant, but I'm not going to know, I'm not going to have any idea. So, you know what? We, on our run up, we get to buy the dips. And this is something in 2017 that I totally missed and I completely screwed up, okay? Every single time we would go up in 2017 and then we would come down, 30, 40%, something like that. I would sit there and I would be like, okay, the run's done, and I wouldn't stack any of these price levels only to find, ourselves significantly higher, 3 weeks later and completely kicking myself, So I'm not making that mistake this time.
Yeah, man. I think I made the same mistake, bro. But it's like you have to pay your price of tuition. You have to do that, and yeah, man. But it's good to see. It's bullish news. Let's see what happens. Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, everyone. We've got for the software releases BTCPAY server version 1.1.0 that was released, and that is down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. You know what to do. If you enjoyed the episode, smash that like button, smash it. Yeah, and of course, if you want to continue hearing the news from the Bitcoin perspective and the catastrophic fiat and shitcoin fails, definitely consider subscribing, and we will see you tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.